Ah, the good old days when cars were designed to go the distance, and every now and again you find owners that are willing to make sure that these cars do exactly that. This battered and bruised Rover Montego is sat on 1.3 million miles, and today we're going to hear the full story of how it got there. Welcome back to Resto Revival. I'm your host Will. Let's get it. Johnny, thanks for joining me. Tell us what we're sat in front of.
Well, Rover Montego estate, with a 2-litre Perkins Prima turbo diesel in.
Yes.
And it has done approximately 1.25 million miles. So the story goes.
Yeah, and in some cases you can't tell a car has done big mileage. In this case, I think it's fair to say we can tell it's done quite big mileage.
There's a certain amount of evidence there. And some of the repairs gave the game away as well, like fatigue cracks in the radiator and a fatigue failure on the sump.
Yes.
These are normally the rust rather than doing that.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mileage, because there's a really interesting story behind this rather ordinary looking Rover. So take us through what you know of the history.
Well, when I bought it, I didn't know how many miles it had done. I didn't actually know how many were on the clock. And then the owner before last, when he saw that I'd bought it, pointed out that it had been round the clock, which came as a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
And apparently when he had it, he'd been talking to a policeman who started off by saying, "This used to be one of ours."
Yeah.
Then looked at the speedo and started laughing. And apparently the joke was that it had 800,000 on when they had it. And after that, it had belonged to a taxi firm that did airport runs. And then Malcolm Watson bought it from them, and he used it quite a bit as well. And all of the people that owned it are people who maintain things better than the book says normally.
Yeah.
So I would think it's had 6,000 mile oil changes for its whole life.
And that's a real sort of testament to, if you look after a car mechanically, they can go on to do what they were designed to do.
Yeah, there's no real reason for any car to wear out now with modern oil.
Yeah.
And just normally people don't actually keep them that long.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
The benefit of it having a super high mileage is it's probably hasn't been started and stopped as often as a car with low mileage.
Yeah.
And that's when most of the wear happens.
Yeah.
It's just survived pretty well.
Yeah, very well. So when exactly did you buy this?
I think it was 2016. I've had it about 10 years.
Yeah. And how many do you... Because the reason we're kind of speculating is because the car's done so many mileage, the speedo is showing some signs of age. So how many miles do you reckon you've done in 10 years?
Oh, I could actually look. I've got a book in the glove box. I could tell you exactly.
Yeah.
But I think probably about 30 or 40,000.
Yeah.
Not really many.
Yeah.
So it's
semi-retired
now.
Yeah, it's semi-retired. Yeah. And so, what do you think the sort of key is? Obviously, you've talked about the regular oil changes, but what do you think it is that's made this car last as long as it has?
Probably because it's been used all the time. It hasn't had time to. It's not been sitting in a road rusting away.
Yeah.
For much of its life, like normally cars do that, don't you?
Yeah.
You use them and then park it up to sit and rust for a bit before you use it again.
Yeah.
And obviously it has rusted here and there.
Mostly there.
But and the other thing, people often can't be bothered to fix it. When it gets to a certain point, like, oh, I'm sick of fixing this, I'll
Yeah.
have someone else.
Yeah.
And the engine obviously hasn't had much done to it at all. It's had one new piston that I know of, a new water pump, and the cylinder head, but the cylinder head was changed because somebody that thought they were a mechanic but weren't destroyed the old one. And the other thing, especially on these, with any multi-metal engine, if you change the coolant every year,
Yeah.
it's going to last longer.
Yeah.
But I've put waterless coolant in, so in theory the head gasket shouldn't corrode.
Good. It's pretty incredible when you think that this is largely the original parts that came from the car, and
Yeah.
it's done over 1 million miles, which
It's I think virtually any car should be able to do that,
yeah.
as long as you can keep on top of it.
Mm.
But this one has.
Yeah, I don't have as much faith in modern cars as I do with older cars.
I don't think a modern car will ever wear out, but things will go wrong with them that aren't worth repairing.
Yeah.
And things like a blocked DPF can cause a catastrophic engine failure if you ignore it.
Yes. Whereas, thankfully, this doesn't have any of that
No,
diesel puffery. It's no EGR, no DPF, none of that blockages.
No, I think it did. It may have had EGR originally, I think, but someone somewhere in the past removed it. And I don't think EGR's necessarily fatal in itself. It's when it's mixed with fumes from the breather it turns to tar.
Yeah.
And then it's game over after that.
Yeah.
They just block up.
And how many are left on the road of these?
I'm not sure. It's surprising. You do see them occasionally, but they used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they were a cheap car.
Yeah.
Well, I got through a few. This one needs welding. I'll just buy another then. And, I've still got quite a few of the spare engines from those days. And where now, obviously, you can't just nip out and buy another.
No. And so, do you think you'll just keep this forever?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Whatever goes wrong with it, I know I can fix.
Yeah.
And obviously, I would like it if nothing went wrong with the engine. 'Cause
Yes.
It's the bit
original.
that's done the miles.
Yeah.
There isn't anything it could do to us that I can't fix one way or another. So, yeah, just keep welding it until I've welded all of it.
I think you're nearly there.
But I think the underneath's actually surprisingly solid because it's had a few oil leaks. So from everywhere inside the sills is quite healthy.
Yeah.
And the sills obviously have been welded, they've been replaced, welded, and wheel arches I did because somebody else had done them and they hadn't really done a very good job of it. So far I've painted the roof and the passenger front door's brand new. And I've got a skin for the driver's door.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 new back doors. So that one day I'll stop having advisories on rusty doors on the MOT.
There must be something very reassuringly honest about a car like this. That you can just get into it and you know it'll start, you can take it anywhere and you'll know it'll get you there.
Yeah, it's, I hate cars where you're guessing whether you're going to get there or not. And this, as long as I keep doing the maintenance properly, should get us wherever I want to be.
Yeah.
And you do remember the cars you've had that never let you down.
Yeah. They form an emotional bond, don't they?
Yeah, and the reason I bought this one was because I'd had them in the past, and I was kind of missing them.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter how cold it is, just turn the key and it'll start.
Yeah, I think there's just reliability and simplicity, and we're never going to get back to a car time like this.
No, and well, Perkins has stopped making car engines. That was the last automotive engine they made, I think. So now he's in the hands of the part-time engine manufacturers.
Yeah, but even then, you know, there's so much, whether it's emissions or electrical or safety, just engines are just strangled now, aren't they, with everything that comes with it.
And the cars are as well. The cars are bigger and heavier because they're full of airbags.
Yeah.
And all the other gubbins.
Yeah. So, should we take it for a drive?
Yeah, why
I think that'd be good. So first impressions, it doesn't. Yes, it feels like an old British car, but it doesn't feel like it's done anywhere near the mileage it has.
Wait, it's got newish tyres on.
Yeah.
And it's had things like ball joints and suspension. I think it's had one spring on maybe, but the back suspension's all new.
Yeah.
But they're just like maintenance things.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do with it. It'll stop a shock absorber wearing out.
Yeah. But it's very honest in here, isn't it?
It hasn't got stuff you don't actually need.
No. All the stuff you need and nothing else. It's interesting actually, before today, if you'd given me a guess of old cars that had got to 1.3 million miles, I don't think Rover would have been on that list. And I don't know whether that's... Do you think they've had an unfair reputation for reliability?
Yeah, because the ones I've had have all been reliable. Now, and this diesel, obviously Perkins made the engine and they are famous for reliability.
Yeah.
So Rover probably inadvertently hit the jackpot there.
Yeah.
Because
it's just supplier choice rather than manufactured own.
But actually it was the original O series petrol engine they gave to Perkins to convert to diesel.
Right.
And if you trace it back, it has its origins in a 1500B series from the 1950s, which then the B series got improved over the years. Then they made the O series, which is an overhead cam version of it, and Perkins made the diesel version. And the later engines, the T series and the M series, I think used a lot of the knowledge that gained from the diesel, and they were pretty bulletproof as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for today. Thanks for giving me your time.
No problem.
It was great seeing the legend in real life. I now know it exists rather than just hearing the stories. So
it's a pity we didn't have a trail run. Could have tried it out properly.
yeah, got the full Rover Montego experience. But
put something heavy on the back.
Well, thank you for that. That was great fun.